EVO.
Welcome back, and happy holidays, or as I like to call it, the season of forced cheer, soft lighting, and quietly Googling how long can leftovers stay in the fridge before they become a crime scene. Now, whether you're decking halls, dodging relatives, or just mainlining peppermint-flavored regret, I'm glad you're here. So, let's get right into it. As always, here's the creepiest thing that I heard this week. Now this one is just fucking weird. Okay. In the folklore of Iceland, there exists a ritual so intimate, so viscerally transgressive, that even by medieval standards, it was considered an act of profound moral decay. The artifact it produced was known as a nábrók, or necropants, trousers fashioned from the skin of a dead man's lower body. And unlike most legends, this one wasn't meant to frighten children. It was meant to enrich adults. So the ritual begins not with murder, but with consent. The practitioner needs to secure permission from a dying man. Often a friend, sometimes somebody owes you money, but you need permission to use their body after death. And once they're buried, their corpse must be exhumed under specific conditions, typically during a waning moon, and the skin from the waist down is removed in one continuous piece, without tearing, creating a grotesque garment that is worn directly against the flesh. No barrier, no lining, skin on skin. The purpose of the necropants wasn't disguise or power over the dead, but money. According to surviving grimoires and folklore collections, a stolen coin, often from a widow or a poor person, was placed in the scrotum of the necropants. And from that moment on, the necropants would generate wealth for their wearer. Coins allegedly would just appear endlessly, provided that the original stolen coin was never removed. The pants had to be worn constantly, hidden beneath normal clothing, slowly fusing to the wearer's body over time. But there was a cost. The wearer could never remove the necropants without assistance. When death approached, another living person had to help peel the dead skin away, leg by leg, transferring the garment before the wearer died. If the necropants were buried with the owner, the folklore warns, the soul would be damned, trapped between worlds, rotting alongside the pants that fed it. So this story appears in Icelandic magical manuscripts from the 17th century, texts that treated sorcery less as fantasy and more as a practical, if morally dubious, tool for survival. In a harsh land shaped by famine, volcanic winters, and isolation, wealth itself became a supernatural aspiration. And what makes necropants unsettling isn't just the image, though that's unforgettable. It's the logic. A belief system where greed literally wears the dead, where prosperity requires intimacy with decay, and where the boundary between survival and damnation is measured in inches of borrowed skin. And that, to me, is the creepiest thing I've heard this week, or actually, in a long fucking time. So on The Devil Within this week, we kick off a brand new 2-part series titled Blood on the Bluegrass, diving headfirst into the story of Rod Ferrell, the so-called Kentucky vampire. But this isn't just a story about black trench coats and teenage theatrics. It's a study in adolescent isolation, the intoxicating power of confidence, and what happens when belief, unchecked and unchallenged, mutates into something lethal. Ferrell's story is about identity before it's about violence, and about how charisma can be more dangerous than madness when it finds the wrong audience at the wrong time. If you think this is a vampire story, think again. It's a story about how easily myth can replace morality. On the Ides of April, we conclude our series on the assassination of Robert Kennedy with part 2 of The Death of the New America. We return to that suffocating night in Los Angeles, the Ambassador Hotel, the pantry hallway, the chaos, and the gunfire. A radicalized young man with a pistol, and the instant when a country's fragile hope collapsed inward. This episode isn't just about how Bobby Kennedy died. It's about what died with him. A sense of momentum, a belief that the future could still be steered. This week on Criminal Mischief, life mirrors fiction as journalist Carolyn Osorio delves into the horrifying details of a real-life fatal attraction and the devastatingly cruel consequences of obsession, jealousy, and rage. On Taboo Treasures, we still don't know yet, because sometimes the devil you know needs a week to sharpen his pitchfork. So hang tight, as always, it will be something informative, satirical, and laugh-out-loud funny. This week in horror, we can just title it, okay, it's official, I'm super old. We're getting a remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, a film I remember watching being shot right here in Los Angeles, which feels like 100 fucking years ago. But look, it's a classic psychological thriller about trust, about domestic vulnerability, and the deeply flawed idea that background checks are optional. A nanny who never should have been let in the house, and a reminder that sometimes real horror doesn't have to be supernatural. It's someone smiling politely while rearranging your entire life from the inside. As we wrap up, a warm happy Hanukkah to those celebrating, and holiday wishes to everyone else navigating this strange, sparkly, emotionally complicated stretch of the calendar. Be kind to each other. Lock your doors, trust cautiously, and remember, if something feels off this season, you're probably right. Sleep well, or maybe don't. Either way, I'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe out there.